Let's look at this graph that represents a hypothetical process of acquiring knowledge. We start from a basic level of ignorance and, after a suitable period of study, we arrive at a first partial increase. At a certain point, you reach a level of maximal or submaximal mastery. The increases seem to decrease, plateau effect. What happens, however, if instead of stopping the process, you decide to continue with the repetitions of the teaching material? We enter the so-called overlearning phase, during which the continuous repetition of the material beyond the presumed point of maximum acquisition further refines the degree of mastery. The increase is explained precisely by the effect of the reiteration processes that significantly improve the retention in memory of the acquired material. Hilgard, 1953. This is true first of all for the acquisition of sensorimotor skills. Think of certain activities such as swimming, skating, riding a bicycle that are generally learned during youth well beyond the limit of simple acquisition and are repeated many times through play or sports. But it is also true for the learning of abstract knowledge that occurs in the usual study processes, from school to university and beyond. Is it possible to quantify the nature of this increase? Yes, it is. In fact, an increase in mastery levels has been found experimentally with a moderate amount of overlearning, more precisely 150%. However, the continuation of the reiteration process has surprisingly provided evidence in contrast. Progress does not continue indefinitely but, at a certain point, stops, and starting from an overlearning of 200%, no significant increases are recorded. Kruger, 1929. Despite some critical positions, Taylor, 2005, most authors still consider the side effects of superlearning to be very valid, such as, for example, the increase in the discriminability of new meanings learned, the reduction of the risk of forgetting, Ausubel, 1968, or the familiarization with the objects of study with a relative reduction of the cognitive load, Pasquale-Leone, 1980, Case, 1985. At this point in our reflection, it seems intuitive how the advantages of superlearning are especially appreciable in a certain phase of the knowledge acquisition process, that is, just before an exam or a test when the student has already reached a good level of preparation and only needs to refine his skills or maintain them at high levels. The discussion is not so different from what happens in the sports field with sensor-motor skills. We work on refining the athletic gesture when we are already at submaximal performance levels. It is precisely in that precise moment that we appreciate the added value of superlearning because it makes possible those small progresses that can guarantee a victory or a broken record.